You're watching CHCO-TV's gavel-to-gavel coverage of the March 16th, 2026 Special Council meeting and regular council meeting for the town of St. Andrews. I'm Florence Mitchell. In the Special Council meeting, Council will receive a public presentation on Bylaw MP 20-02-03. Council will later move to schedule a public hearing of objections for this bylaw and to request the views of the Planning Advisory Committee. In the regular council meeting, council will receive a presentation from Megan Carey on a recreation master plan, and council will later move to accept this plan. There will also be presentations by the Wesley United Church and Greenock Church. Under Finance and Administration, council will move to appoint members to an ad hoc committee for the review and commendations regarding applications to community assistance grant funding. Under Public Works and Public Safety, council will move to accept Bylaw 25-01-A, an amendment to the bylaw regulating vehicular traffic. Council will also move to give Noise Bylaw 26-01 its first reading by title. Finally, council will hold a discussion regarding a parking ban extension for William Street. Now let's join council at the W.C. O'Neill Arena Complex Council Chambers in St. Andrews.
We'll call to order Monday, March the 16th at 6:15 p.m. at the W.C. O'Neill Arena Complex in the council chambers, a special council meeting. And so we have a recording of attendance and all are present, with Councillor Blanchard being online. And we have Alexander from Regional Service Commission with us as well. So thank you. And I'd like to recognize that we are on the unceded traditional territory of the Beskoto-Makati people, so welcome. And I need an approval of the agenda as written. I need a mover, Councillor Bennett, and a seconder, Councillor Heenan. Nothing to be added. So all those in favor of accepting the agenda as written, say aye. Contrary minded? Carried. Disclosure of conflict of interest? None. Presentation, we have a public presentation, I think, from Xander Gopin. You there, Xander?
Yeah, I'm ready. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you.
So this is going to be a fairly short presentation, especially compared to some of the other presentations I've given to council recently.
Thanks, Xander.
Yeah, you're welcome. This is a public presentation of bylaw MP 20-02-03, which is a proposed bylaw to amend MP 20-02, which is the secondary municipal plan. So the background of this file is it's PID 150-49810, which is 246 Water Street, and I do have maps, so you'll see where that is in a second if you don't already know. The applicant is seeking an amendment to the secondary plan, MP 20-02, to allow for a development with a footprint that is larger than is allowed by that plan. The plan requires that any new buildings, or in this case extensions, do not cause the building to exceed the footprint, the ground floor area of another main building on the block. In this case, the 246 to 256 Water Street complex is the largest building on the block. So this would be an addition to what is the largest building on the block, which the secondary plan does not allow. It is a relatively small addition, 2-story, 816 square feet, and it's to the rear of 246 Water Street. The purpose of the addition would be a garage, so we're basically replacing parking spaces that are there at the garage, a small office, and indoor stair access to an existing apartment in 246 Water Street. So this is the kind of the aerial shot of the current, not quite current, the building in the back there is no longer there. It's been demolished. But you can see in the front there, there's the 246 to 256 complex. It is one building for building code and other purposes, even though it does cross property lines. And I've identified the location of the addition. And I've also taken the site plan provided by the applicant and overlaid it on the satellite imagery just to try and give you a little bit of a sense of how it would extend into the lot itself and the space it would take up. And then this is a concept elevation provided by the applicant. So there'd be a deck on top. Most of the space is really just one story with a little bit of that in the back where the staircase would be. The relevant policies beyond the proposal that limits the actual expansion are some other sections of the secondary plan. All new development will enhance the pedestrian environment and define the public realm, providing a sense of continuity and aligning with adjacent buildings so that enclosure is respected. Gaps, large setbacks, and intrusions into the sidewalk are to be avoided. Buildings are to be located at or close to the property line, especially the first story at ground level. Building heights and footprints will respect existing patterns of development. And then 2.1.2, this is best practices and proposals. Streetscape continuity is an essential aspect of good design. New buildings should not have excessive fenestration, that's window openings, on their sides, as it is expected that with time, new development will fill in these gaps. So the plan, especially those sections, really show the intent that it's focusing on enhancing streetscape and pedestrian realm activity. In this case, the addition really won't impact Water Street at all because it's an extension to the rear of the building. And with proper conditions, the development can even help implement aspects of the plan and deal with those policies in a kind of positive way. So it will reduce an existing gap in, I guess it's kind of a pedestrian and parking area behind Water Street, and it will maintain the existing pedestrian access that people can use to go between Water Street and, I guess you'd say, the back of that lot to access the apartments or wherever else. And there are conditions as part of the bylaw that would ensure the exterior treatment and roof line sufficiently match the existing exterior treatment and roof line so that they blend in as seamlessly as possible, even though they will be fairly invisible from the streetscape. There's also a condition around maintaining the existing pedestrian access so it isn't blocked, even though the site plan shows that it would not be. It's still good to ensure that those aspects of the plan are supported. And finally, the amendment is worded in such a way that the addition will not be used in future calculations for purposes of the plan, so that any future additions to the block would not benefit from this increased footprint. They would still have to meet the current footprint of 246 to 256 Water Street. And the main reason for the application, according to the applicant, is that it will add significant accessibility to an existing apartment and support their aging in place. So instead of having an unsheltered spot to park the car, they can go inside. There will be an inside staircase and a bit of a workspace to access an apartment. So there's other aspects of the municipal plan that talk about age-friendly communities that this is certainly relevant to. So that's really the meat of the application. It's a fairly minor development, but because of the secondary plan, it does require a fair amount of council process. This public presentation is kind of the first formal introduction of it. There still needs to be a public hearing as per section 111. PAC would need to give their views, and there would need to be 3 readings of council. So that's really it for the presentation at this time. And I would note, there will be further opportunity for public input. So this presentation is really just to put it out there. I could answer any questions if council has any at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Gopin. Council, any questions for Mr. Gopin? There aren't any. So, so the next steps are, he needs a,
There's motions in the next meeting, Your Worship,
Okay.
to continue this
Next meeting.
along. So if there's no questions, we could probably wrap this meeting up.
okay. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Gopin, and thanks for the lovely presentation. Oh, sorry, Counselor Weir pops up.
Thank you, Your Worship. Mr. Gopin, I guess it would be a fair statement to say that the secondary municipal plan for at least one building on each block probably has been, first word that comes to mind is discriminated against. If it's the largest building, can't do an extension. So I assume that was something that was not contemplated or not thought of when the secondary municipal plan was put in place.
Well, I was involved in the drafting and passing of the secondary municipal plan, so there was a lot of thought given to this, and the idea at the time was that development should really respect the other buildings on the block, and this was the mechanism for doing it. And if that couldn't be met, then rather than get a variance from PAC, which is kind of the more normal process if something isn't able to meet a dimensional standard like this, it would go to council. So it was the intent. Whether, a very small addition to the back of a building was considered. If this was a detached accessory structure of this size, it wouldn't apply. But because it's attached and that's part of the plans, so I'd say this very specific situation was not contemplated, and that's why it's something for council to consider.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Okay, council, we will close up this meeting. So, motion for adjournment? Councilor Heenan, seconder, Councilor Gomichelle. All those in favor, say aye. Contrary minded? Carried. And we are done. Okay, council, we are ready for our third meeting, which is Monday, March the 16th at Monday, 16th, 2026 at 6:35 p.m. It's the regular council meeting. So we look at the recording of attendance, and all are present. Councilor Blanchard is online. Okay, and we are on the unceded traditional territory of the Beskatomakati people. So we thank them for being on their lands. Approval of the agenda. Could I have a mover? Councilor Heenan, Councilor Gomichelle, seconder. Is there any additions we need to add? No? Unless they want to add the,
I guess we didn't have it on the agenda about the earlier session at 6 o'clock. We can,
Right.
Staff could bring it forward to the next meeting, or if you want to add it to the agenda tonight for instructions.
so
It's up to council.
what is your wish, council? To add it tonight or to do it next week? Next week. Okay, next week.
Well, it'll be, next regular meeting's not till
Next
April the
week.
6th. 7th.
April the 6th?
7th, a Tuesday.
April the 7th, okay. Okay. So with that, all those in favor of accepting the agenda as written, say aye. Contrary minded? Carried. So, disclosure of a conflict of interest? Don't see any. And we're into presentations. Is Megan available? Megan Carey for the recreational master plan? And we would ask that you try and stick to your 10 minutes so that we're not here till midnight. Thank you. The presentations to 10 minutes as much as we can. Thank you. And please come to the microphone, except for Megan.
Yep. And just as Megan's signing on, just a reminder to folks, we do have a longer presentation that's on our still available on our website. That was about an hour long from about a month or 6 weeks ago. If you'd like to see a more detailed presentation of
For
what
the
was in the
recreational
plan.
plan.
Yeah, and there's copies at the town hall.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Worship and Council, for having me here this evening to present an overview of your new Parks and Recreation Master Plan. As we get started, I just want to thank the steering committee members, town staff, council, community organizations, and residents who all contributed to the development of this master plan. The objective of our planning process is articulated on this slide, but really it comes down to that last point about continuing to build a high quality of life for all residents within St. Andrews. Our planning process was built on a strong engagement and research program. The master plan document that has been published and shared is supported by two internal documents. First, the What We Heard report, which overviews all of the engagement activities that went into this process, as well as a research report, the What We Learned report, which looks at broader community demographics, geospatial analysis, sector leading practices and trends, as well as service delivery analysis to create a clear picture of the current state of the delivery of parks and recreation opportunities within St. Andrews. And those together form the basis of evidence that our master plan is based on. An important piece of our master plan is setting out those strategic foundations, which become the North Star, or the guiding direction for why we invest in parks and recreation. We do within the master plan have a vision statement, so that articulates where we're hoping to go through our investment into recreation and parks, as well as when we think about recreation, it does include that broad umbrella of arts, culture, wellness, and heritage as well. So looking across that diverse set of opportunities that comes from the municipal investment into parks and recreation. We identified 6 key guiding principles. These guiding principles were based on clear direction that we heard from the community as to what is important for as you're looking to make decisions. What are those key guiding principles that articulate the what you're going to do, and to provide these as anchoring statements that should be considered in all of your decision-making processes. We also focused on setting out a mandate for the Parks and Recreation Department. There's been recent investment by the town into the department, and we want to ensure that we were supporting that and making sure that providing direction as to what were the parameters and mandate of the department. So unique within this master plan is an overview of the types of activities that the department should be engaging in and that residents can expect from the Parks and Recreation Department. Within the core piece of the master plan, our recommendations are broken down into service delivery as well as infrastructure. So the service delivery recommendations are organized along 5 key themes. The first theme being to promote communication and awareness. So this is really where we're looking to continue strengthening the community awareness of opportunities that exist and remove any barriers that might exist currently for residents to access information. The second theme is around strengthening partnerships and collaboration. We know that parks and recreation are strongest when we do see cross-sectoral collaboration, which allows us to share and leverage resources. And we want to ensure that we are able to leverage that to support our delivery and meeting the needs of our community moving forward. Theme 3 focuses on improving utilization. So that's where we want to focus on making the most of our indoor and outdoor facility and spaces, and where we want to consider how we might further enhance the uses of our existing spaces before investing in new spaces. The fourth theme is optimizing operations. So again, something similar along the lines of building utilization, but how can we optimize our internal operations, structure and decision-making processes to build capacity within the broader network and within our organization to help achieve the outcomes that we desire. Fifth is on enhancing accessibility and inclusion, so ensuring that all residents are able to access and participate in the types of opportunities that they so wish. And how can we ensure that we're doing proper training, facility assessment to support all of that, so we're looking at a more holistic nature of our broader parks and recreation system. These 5 themes, these are at a very high level within the master plan itself. There is a detailed implementation process and plan that outlines actions for each of these themes and core recommendations, and as well indicates performance measures that focus on both our outputs and outcomes that will be recommended for annual reporting to ensure that we are actually building on the recommendations within the plan, that we're continuing to support evidence-based decision-making and focused on continuous improvement to foster high quality of life within the community. In terms of infrastructure, so we did assess the current service levels and provided unique strategies for how we might want to look to future investment into infrastructure in the community. The plan includes strategies to help prioritize and guide the town's investment into parks and recreation facilities and spaces over the next 10 plus years. We did look at 12 indoor and 12 outdoor amenities. So amenities are specific activity spaces. And so by doing that, we're able to ensure that we're being a bit more specific within our recommendations and what the community might need. The strategies that we have put forth were based on the information that's contained within the engagement and research reports, as well as considering financial viability, which includes both a consideration for operating and capital investments. From our amenity assessment, we did categorize priorities and what we may look to further enhancing within the future. Now, some examples don't necessarily mean an investment into new capital facilities, but we might want to look at, say, partnerships and draw your attention there to the aquatic facilities. You'll see within the report, the strategy is to focus around building regional partnerships and collaborations to support that indoor aquatic need that exists within the community, as well as to look at outdoor opportunities that can supplement that desire. You'll see here for both indoor and outdoor, these are amenities that, based on our evidence, that we would recommend these amenities would provide the greatest benefit to the community. Now, in saying that, any investment into recreation and parks amenities is going to provide benefit to your community. But when we looked across where the most need existed and what would convey the most and broadest public benefit, these 8 categories where we are recommending future investment, and the plan outlines key strategies for administration to consider and bringing forth any recommendations to council. Within our supporting frameworks, we do have a partnership framework that's a decision-making tool and outline as to how the town may consider establishing partnerships to deliver parks and recreation services, as well as descriptors around what are triggers for a feasibility study moving forward. When we're looking at the future of parks and recreation and the implementation plan that's contained within the master plan, we have outlined several critical success factors, how we recommend or see building off of this plan to ensure success into the future. Certainly, having a leadership commitment and council support is a clear requirement for required success into the community for both resource allocation and support. Within our recommendations, they are contingent on having adequate staffing and operational budgets to deliver on the recommendations contained within the master plan. We see and highlight the importance of maintaining sustained community engagement and partnership collaboration and decision making and informing the work that will happen moving forward from this master plan, which is why we've got detailed recommendations on regular monitoring, evaluation criteria to ensure that you do take approach of a proactive and adaptive management strategy that's based on evidence to ensure that you are responding and reflecting to the needs of the community. We do encourage the integration of recommendations into future capital planning and budgeting processes. And importantly, we also encourage you to celebrate the successes and building on transparent communication about the progresses you are making, but also challenges that might occur into the future. So with that, I thank you again for the time this evening to present this overview of our master plan that has been developed, and I'm happy to answer any questions that the council or administration might have.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Megan.
Thank you.
Council, do you have any questions? None being seen.
Well, just a reminder, of course, that we had the longer session, and there's lots of dialogue back then, so it was just for the benefit of the public for Megan to present the last tonight.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Spear, thank you, Megan. Thank you for taking the time out to join us tonight. Have a good night. You get to go. You get to go.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, the second presentation is the Wesley United Church. Mr. Groom.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Ackerty and members of council. Guess most of you do know me. I'm Gary Groom. I'm on the Board of Trustees of Wesley United. I have with me Leslie Wells, who's the president, or chair, I should say, of the official board. She's my boss, that's why I'm speaking. She told me to, so I'll get that straight. So.
Okay.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you on behalf of Wesley United Church and proposed extension of the one-side parking ban between Queen and Montague on the southeast side, which is our side of the church. Since remodeling our sanctuary in 2019 to make it a more open concept, we have become more of a community hub to take some of the load off the parish hall and now host exercise groups, the Open Door Food Bank, AA, concerts, other meetings, and in May we'll be hosting the municipal elections. We do realize this has created more street traffic, but most of these events involve 30 to 60 people, and we believe we can manage the parking. Our own congregation has grown from about 25 a few years ago to between 40 and 60 now, but like most churches, we are mostly bald and gray. And easy access to the church is important to some. Also, during funerals, the attendants use the side street for their vehicles to line up the mourners' vehicles on the way to the cemetery. When we received the letter from Mr. McKinnon, I immediately did two things. First, I went to see the fire chief, Kevin Terrio, about his concerns, if any, on getting down the street. And he advised, and I speak his words, I have no concerns about getting down the street. My only concern is clearance at the intersections so we can turn the vehicles to proceed down. My second thought was to check other locations, and it happened that the three churches on King Street were having church at the same time, and King and Parr and King and Montague were down to one car for part of their streets. I know every church has some issues with parking. I would just comment that my wife and I have been going to Wesley for over 50 years and can only remember one incident where an ambulance came down the street and had no issues. I do realize that something could happen at any time. I want to assure Council that we want to work with the town to control this situation and have already taken steps to do so. We have requested the congregation and our user groups to spread out the parking to other sections, including the next block up between Montague and Parr, and the corner on Montague, etc. And this has been successful. And I measured off the 9 meters, or approximately 30 feet from the intersections, and feel this is working. We realize and assume the town also recognizes that there are some events, whether it be Canada Day, yard sales, or in the summertime when a lot of the tourists are here, that we're going to probably not be able to control everything. I do notice that on William, from Water Street to Parr, on our side of the street, it has no ditches, but our section between Queen and Montague. I looked at the section from Alex Ross's driveway to Montague, and while I'm no engineer, it would seem it would take not much to have this filled in, which would create additional space for cars to pull off before they got to the intersection. It would make for a wider turning for emergency vehicles. We are being proactive in trying to get our users and our congregation to be aware of this concern, and we feel that we have been quite successful the last few weeks in improving same. In fact, we had a wedding on February the 21st with 108 people in the church, and they all came from Florenceville, Woodstock area. We actually sent a message to the bride and groom about spreading out the parking, and it was so successful that Alex Ross called me to ask me if the wedding had been called off because he did not see many cars. So we had a concert yesterday, which was between 50 and 60 people there. Instead of going to the concert, I sat outside to monitor the parking, and I must say there was no issues with parking. Could 2 people come down the street at once and meet one another? The answer is no. But that's not unusual for the streets of St. Andrews. I think most people would agree with me on that. We do realize that if cars are parked on both sides of the streets, 2 cars cannot meet. This is not new to the town, and with little patience and common sense, I think it's manageable. If we keep parking bans going, are we not just kicking the problem up to the next block? On our section, we have 1 driveway on our side of the street, and we have been working with them to manage parking to allow him easy access. On the other side, we have 3 driveways and no complaints so far. We would ask Council to exclude us from this ban, at least for the coming year, to see if we can manage this better. If the major concerts that we have, maybe 3 or 4 a year, continue to cause problems, maybe the town would consider letting us put the signs out if we think we cannot control this. I want to thank you for listening to us this evening, and we hope that you will take this under consideration. I certainly realize, and I think the church realizes, with the way St. Andrews is growing, if last summer is any indication, more people will be here. I did attend the meeting not too long ago, and the gentleman from Explore St. Andrews said they were promoting additional people to come to town, which is great for commerce. I'm all for it. But we only have so many parking spaces, and we only have so many streets. So we have to contend with that. And I don't think not being able to get 2 cars down the street in every place is that much of a necessity any more than it is what we can do with 3 or 4 delivery trucks on the front street, which we have to, some things we have to put up with and get used to. Thank you for listening.
Questions from the council? Councillor Heenan?
Mr. Groom, thank you very much for your presentation. I, like you, was down at your church yesterday.
Okay.
And I have a photograph that shows that I can't get through with my escape. I could show it to you if you'd like to see it, but it was it wasn't in front of your church, so it was down at the corner, the next corner, of William and Montague. But anyway, they were parked so close that if I wanted to go down, I would have to put the mirrors in on my car.
Was it on Queen? Because I sat there and looked at.
Well, I could show you. It doesn't really, but all I'm asking is, I noticed, sir, that when I looked in your yard for your parking,
Yep.
you don't utilize the length of the driveway, one of them, for parking. Like, if those cars that were on that street, on the opposite side of your church, were to park in the driveway, 1, they'd be handier. 2, they wouldn't be on the street, and 3, it wouldn't bother anybody. And you could come out the other driveway. This is my point. Like, you have enough room for probably 8 cars in the driveway that goes down back.
Yes, no, I know where you're talking.
And I just think to myself, like, there's room for 8 cars, and it was only 4 cars that was a problem.
Okay.
And see, I never have a problem with the church in the morning.
Right.
Like, it's never an issue. I've said it at council meeting and council meeting all the time. It's not the church time.
Right.
Like, it's not your church time, sir. That's not, it's the extracurricular activities, which I go for. I gotta tell you, I think it's wonderful. So
Right.
don't take it that I'm being, but I'm just saying to you, I just wonder why you couldn't consider, just a consideration of having 8 cars go down that driveway.
That we probably could. Never
Yes.
thought of it this
And you
way.
see, sir, then they could come out the other way.
Yeah, it's always been one way in and
Yes,
another way out.
that's
I
right,
mean,
sir. So I'm just, that would be like, that would be one solution I would look at.
Right.
It's just from my viewpoint.
Okay, I wasn't down on, this must have been on Queen Street.
It was, sir, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
which the Pentecostal church was in session
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yes, they
I
were, yeah.
understand that.
But all I'm saying, I'm
Yep.
just telling you, like, you know, I'm not being difficult, because I love the church. I love all the concerts, and as I said, it's yay.
Yeah.
It's just that I would like to see us come up with, like yourself,
Yeah.
some solution, sir,
Sure.
that we could live harmoniously in this whole situation.
Okay,
Yeah.
point taken. Yeah.
But anyway, I just looked in and the driveway was completely empty, and I'm thinking, well,
Correct.
you know, 8 cars. Yeah, so anyway, that's just my comment. It's not, I think it's wonderful you have the concerts. I mean, I know people that go and love it, so I don't ever want anyone to think that
Okay.
I don't agree with it all.
All right, Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you, Mr. Groom.
you.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Heenan. Anyone else? Deputy Mayor Neal.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Groom. Just to expand a little bit on Councillor Heenan's point, I guess one of the thoughts I had, again, regarding the parking you have along the sides and the back, what if it was possible to, I guess, make, as far as accessibility goes, make some of those spots down the back sort of reserved for accessible parking, to make it a little bit easier for those people with mobility issues to be able to park close by, be able to access it a little bit easier, I guess?
Well, one of the things, in fact, I was going to come down to the office to mention this again. Actually, I went to the town office several months ago when Paul Knopper, I guess it was the person that was there, and asked for the 2 handicap parking spots directly in front of our church.
Mhm.
So far, I've heard nothing from the town on this. We have room between the 2 driveways for 2 handicap parking spots. We could actually, it's town property anyway, where the lawn is, we could move them in so they'd be further off the street. And I think maybe we could even talk the church into cost sharing that if the town would consider that. But we could put that in back, but that's not paved in back
No.
is one of the issues, I guess.
Yep.
But we'd like to pave that section right in front of the church and have the town approve, anyway. So hopefully it's on somebody's desk down there.
Okay.
Yep.
And just to clarify one point, I guess, the reason this came before council
Yep.
was we did receive a complaint. It was a one-off complaint, mind you, but it was a resident on that block that had their driveway blocked, I guess.
Yeah, we're familiar with this.
Yeah, bound to happen.
Yep.
So that being said, I guess, my main concern with parking on the both sides at the moment is primarily through the winter. I was down there today myself. There's a few cars parked there.
Yep.
This time of year without the snowbanks, they're far enough off the
Yeah.
road that, yeah, we would be able to
Right.
get a fire truck through there or an ambulance, whatnot. With the snowbanks, though, I think it would be a very big concern.
Could be.
I think
People
the
don't
town's
like to
fire trucks
move
would be
over,
taking
so-
mirrors off it, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you probably could have that with a lot of streets,
Yeah, we
really.
do.
I mean, it's not, I mean, the other thing, if we could, the section I'm talking about is from Mr. Ross's driveway up to Montague. There doesn't seem to be a drainage problem there. It's very little ditch. I don't think it's gonna take a whole lot of money to fill that in. And I don't know whether the plow could wing it back a little further, which, I mean, people were reluctant to get over when the snowbank was there because they were afraid of going into the ditch,
Sure.
of course, which I do understand. There was one day there, no question, it was pretty narrow.
Yeah.
I'll acknowledge that, no question.
No, I appreciate that. And again, I do appreciate your comments about how you guys have reached out to your congregation, trying to mitigate this
Yeah,
issue.
They're doing a
And the
pretty
fact
good
that,
job.
again, you do want to try and take steps to control it yourselves. I do appreciate that, so thank you.
Thank you.
And I do see a change,
We-
so I do appreciate it because
Yeah.
I go down there a lot. Not
Yeah.
for that reason, Mr. Groom, but I'm downtown a lot, and I've noticed a change in the last couple of weeks, so,
There has been.
yes.
Most of us figure we can walk a couple of blocks.
Thank you, Mr. Groom.
Thank you.
Counselor Harland. Oh, wait, there's one more.
No, it's not for you, Mr. Groom. Thank you for the presentation, but it's for Mr. Spear. Is it possible for us to request our operations manager to do a bit of an assessment of that street, of those couple of blocks? The ditch in particular, just what it would cost and whether or not it's feasible for us to fill that in?
Yeah, we've actually already been talking about that in staff a little bit after Friday's staff or department head meeting. So they had a look. They said it wouldn't be too bad because sometimes you get into the elevation of the storm drain and there's something there that we could work with. But nothing's cheap in construction, so they'll have a look and, be a next year project anyway. Because it'd be tens of thousands, not thousands. Because you'd have to run something, culverts or something, or
Right.
storm through there. So we'll have a look and maybe let council know or bring it up during the budget discussion in the fall.
Right. And I guess one other comment with respect to the church. I am a regular attender of classes at that church. And I will say that sometimes I think we could park, the participants of the class, could park a little more efficiently if we weren't running 10 minutes late. But, I know it's not paved in the back, but if there was some way to identify parking spots, I think and probably those classes aren't the only ones, but that parking spots could be identified so people have a better sense of where they could park or could park more efficiently. Not me.
Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Groom. And so we're on the Granite Church presentation.
Your Worship, Councillors, my name is Chris Drouin, and I have with me tonight Carolyn and Julian Walker, that you certainly know, and Jerry Uxma. So we're here tonight to raise your awareness of something that is very much into our heart, which is the Granite Church. So I'll have a quick presentation for you. Quick, simple, right to the point, and then if you have any question, the main goal is to raise awareness of our community. So, summary, as you see, introduction, situation, what we're doing right now, and the reason why, the historical significance of the project, and a short conclusion. So, oh, that doesn't work with this.
Yes, we can use this.
So who we are? We're the Friends of Greenwich. We're known often by the acronym FOG. We're a group of people that of this town that have been looking into the situation of the Greenwich Church over the last couple of years. And our concerns are mostly related to the actual state of the church. And our main mission is to try to save the church, literally. Perhaps as a church itself, if the church with a capital C wants to keep using it, or otherwise to be restored and rehabilitated in order to serve for other purposes that would have to be determined, that would also drive what could be done to the church to be preserved. Accordingly, FOG has applied for incorporation.
Can you step back close to the mic, sir?
Sorry. So, has applied for incorporation as a charitable organization to support its aim via grants, donation, and fundraising activities. Within this dynamic, within this impetus that we have created over the last couple of years, FOG is meeting the council tonight, this evening, to provide an outline of the precarious situation of this magnificent historic site, which has gained national recognition in 1994. So it's not just recently. Thus, presenting to you to raise your awareness about the imminent loss of this landmark of our St. Andrew's landscape. As you are likely aware, the congregation of the church, so the congregation, the church with a big C, is now very small and is in the process of amalgamating and reorganizing. And we need to consider whether the church, the people itself, the church, the building itself, or the memorial hall, which is right beside it, will be sold or left without any care. Since, particularly for the church itself, the cost associated to maintain, to eat and all that, cannot be justified due to the lack of use of the building. As far as the congregation is concerned, the fate of whether or not it would be sold, or if the hall itself would be sold and so on, or how the congregation will reorganize is undecided at this point. So there's no decision being made, which allow us a little bit of time to look at all the options and sync up with the congregation. Due to the tight finances, the lack of heating and maintenance over the years have exacerbated the structural degradation of both the interior and of the exterior. You may have seen the exterior already falling apart, and the very bad painting job that has been done very urgently a couple years ago, and it's peeling off. And there's pieces of these beautiful pieces of artwork, woodwork that are falling on the ground and so on. So it's not a very nice sight for such a building to see. And also, inside of the building, there's a lot of material of significant historical significance that will need to be preserved and taken care of, considering the fact that it's not heated and so on and so forth. So the loss of humidity, so it contributes to degrading the content as well. So the Greenock Church survival requires engagement to help a very challenging time in its 202 years of existence. Now, what are we doing? What has been done or ongoing, and what is planned to be done in the near future from our FOG organization? Well, first, there has been a study, an assessment commission to give us, and it's extensive. It's over 55 pages long. If you'd be interested, I could provide an electronic copy of the document. But it describes basically the actual state of the church. What is significant, what is to be done, what is to be mitigated, the priority and associated cost, which could bubble up depending on what we want to do. If we want to, let's say in the future, we would want to do a place that would be used for social activities or like things that the previous gentleman was talking about, then that would obviously increase costs. But if we were to keep it as an historic building to be visited, to be tour guided and so on and so forth, obviously we're talking more about restoration, preservation more than rehabilitation. So the rehabilitation is a big tag cost item. So anyway, so this has been done by a prominent doctor in architecture, and they provided this very accurate study done by Heritage Standing Inc., and that has been commissioned by St. Andrew Civic Trust and has been completed in November 2023. Of this will be presented the historical significant items that we are most valuing in this project will come down further in this presentation. Second item is fundraising and visibility. So fundraising has been so far significant, but much more is required because it's not cheap. It requires quite a bit of money, and it will require quite a bit of effort over time from our part. So far, open doors and guided tours to trigger interest were well received, and including a mass that we actually held in December for Christmas, the blessing of the pet. And we use fund that we have raised for a visitation previously to actually heat the building, just to give you an idea. Otherwise, the congregation cannot just sustain these costs. Moreover, a distinguished local artist was commissioned to produce outstanding architectural drawings of both the interior and exterior. And we also have a website that is under construction. Oh, I lost my presentation. Did I click on the little X? I may have, eh? Sorry about that. Okay. I can get it from here. Thank you. Okay, so that's where I was.
You just want to hit that little blue button.
Okay. Okay, I'll go to the next one. Okay, also, some restoration renovation has begun. Jerry and I have accomplished some stuff, but it's things pretty much just on our own, like with our own material or having people that we know pitching in and stuff like that. You know, it's very like small stuff, but so for instance, the main entrance door, we unwarped it and sanded the doorstep and to make it close better, and because the whole thing is shifting during the winter, and also there's ground floor support that has been added from underneath because this sagging, but it's not the only place that is sagging, unfortunately. Architect consultation is required, however, to prioritize, at the light of the previous study that we had, to organize and prioritize the work that needs to be done next. But of course, because of the financial constraint, it's kind of stalled right now. Now, my last point, as far as action plan is concerned, curating and preserving has started, and we have identified the items, multiple items that could be actually removed from the premises in order to be maintained, restored, and kept in a controlled environment. There's a lot of brass plate, commemorative brass plate, regimental colors, Bibles of 1822, all kinds of things that that are of historical significance. And seriously, those are not things that we just can let rot there. They need to be taken care of. It's part of our history. And and the initial phase has been done with Anna Krantz and I, and in the coming months we'll be looking at cataloging, itemizing, preserving, curating, storing, imaging, documenting everything, like you do normally when you curate in a museum. So that's what we're in the progress of doing. Now, coming back to that study of 2023, items that, not all of them, but some of them have been added since when Anna and I walked in and looked at things, because the study was mostly about the building itself, not necessarily the content. So this is an overlay of both. So the three-level pulpit, some of you may have seen, you'll see at the end the question, there's a photo taken a week or two ago. You'll see the inside of the church, for those of you who are not familiar with it. But there's a three-level pulpit at the back that is carved from Honduran mahogany, and that has been assembled without any nail whatsoever. It's all wood on wood. And it is, according to St. Andrew's architecture in 1604 or 1966 by Leroux and Alonia, is described as the most exquisite examples of woodworking in New Brunswick. And for those of you that have never seen it, just drop us a call and we'll come and show you, okay? Because believe it or not, despite the level of humidity and lack of controlled environment, the doors, the latches, everything is still closing perfectly. That's something that I personally have never seen before. It's unreal. So, and it would be like a sin to let that go, from my point of view anyway. There's also 10 giant bird's eye maple pillars in the sanctuary. So when you'll see some of them in the they've been repaired over the years, laminated, because of humidity, crack, and all that stuff, but they're still in very good shape as we speak. But those are identified as unique as well. The organ that is inside is amongst the best and the finest in North America. I've been told that if the organ is put back to work, fine-tune and all that, and that we would have, you know, an audience, you know, attending church or whatever. People around Canada, in the States, and perhaps somewhere else would come just to listen to it, because I've been told that the church sound projection is fantastic, and that organ being one of the finest, I wish I could hear that. But also the distinctive church steeple in the tallest spire in St. Andrews that bears an ensemble carved oak. Nobody can miss it. I can see it from my house every morning, and it's quite something. It's a beautiful piece. By the way, when Christopher Scott, who built that church, at one point ran out of money and decided to close the door, and then the town re-invited him to finish the church. And in order to set peace with the town, you had this, above the pulpit, you have this bird on the, how you call it?
Dove.
The dove. Yeah, and that's where it's coming from. It's pretty neat. Yeah. Just to give a little bit of background to it. And then there's the collection of artifacts that we're going through right now. There's a regimental collar from a construction battalion that had been garrisoned here prior to deploy overseas during the Great War. And those collars are still there. We put them flat on the bench and covered with a tarp so that at least the light damage can stop, and also because of the weight of the silk, it started to delaminate, so it needs to be sent to Ottawa for restoration. Anyhow, I know I'm getting a lot of your time right now, so I'll just move on. So in meeting with the council tonight, we're not telling you that we need money from town. We're not asking for financial contribution from town. However, we would greatly appreciate the municipality's recognition of Greenock as a vital National Historic Monument, which is, anyway, by all intent and purposes, in 1994. And I can tell you this as a very close resident. This building is being visited, walking around, photographed like nobody else's business. And if we could, and I would volunteer to tour this, and many of us would, to tour the church on a regular basis, because it is really a magnet for people to come around and look around this and look at how impressive it is. It's certainly a hallmark of the town. As much as the blockhouse is, or the county courthouse. And so they all contribute, not just those three, but as a whole, we have so many things. But the problem is they're mostly made of wood. So over time, you know, unless you let the thing go far beyond its point of no return, which we believe we are nearing, and that's why we're getting more. We want that visibility. We need this impetus going so that we can do our best to save it, because we're nearing that stage. Above all, the Friends of Greenock are looking to Town Council and the people of St. Andrews for ideas, promotions, and volunteers to help ensure that this wonderful National Historic Site remains strong in the future in whatever capacity. It cannot go down. Haven't we passed a bylaw to avoid destroying any houses in town that are 200-year-olds, right? So I would hope that we can unite on that front and come up with, but that's going to take work, that's going to take time, and will, for sure. So we will keep you informed of our progress, how we're doing on that matter. If for any of you or anyone that are seeing this, or And also, you see this poster there that will be, sorry about that, and that will be put around town and word of mouth. If you're interested, there's a gmail.com address that you can go to and get in touch with us. And on this, Wally One, merci, and thank you. So here's the slide for the question so that you can we expand this? Yes. Well, I should have clicked on that before. My apologies. There you go. So you see, if I use the laser here, so that's,
Not working.
it's not working on that. Oh, okay.
Only cats.
All right, so you see on top of the pulpit, there's this window there and a transom, and so on top, that's the dove that I was talking about. So the pulpit is three layers up, and you see some of the column I was talking to you about.
Maple column.
So this is the interior of the church, and if you have any question to me or to my friends.
Okay, Council. Councilor Heenan?
Sir, this is a really great presentation. I've been in the church and I absolutely love it. My favorite expression is the fact that years ago, 200 years ago, we could build these, but now we can't keep them. And that's sad. So I just want to say I applaud your effort very, very much, because this is a very part of the town and it's very significant. So I applaud anything you can do. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you. Very interesting presentation. On a personal note, first time I was ever in St. Andrews was to attend a christening where I was the godfather at that very church, and that wasn't yesterday. It was quite a while ago. But it is a phenomenal building, and the age it is, I think the federal government has to have programs that can somehow restore and keep this beautiful structure in place. Thank you very much.
Yep. To that point, Councillor, there was previous attempt that may have not been so successful. However, having new members on the group that do have other connections or avenues that they will reinitiate, and they're very hopeful that we will, and that those are some of the things we'll keep you abreast of, is whether we've been successful at reattempting these approach with federal government and provincial as well. Yeah, Julien, do you have anything to add to it?
Just, you mentioned a christening. I was christened in Greenock in 1952, and that wasn't yesterday. But I think it is very important that we take the arms of the other National Historic Sites. Am I talking loudly enough? In the town, the courthouse, the blockhouse, and Greenock are all National Historic Sites, and the town itself is recognized nationally. If you go beside the center of town on the great plaque there, the community itself is recognized, and it's the ensemble, for a French word, that's important. It's not just Greenock, and we hope you will help us preserve it.
Thank you, Julian. Councillor?
Just a quick comment. Thank you very much. It was a lovely presentation. And you obviously have been in partnership or in collaboration with the Civic Trust, because you mentioned that they funded the the assessment.
Correct.
What about the archives in helping to curate and preserve? Have they been involved in some of that process?
Yes, Anna Kranz is working with us.
Okay.
She's part of our group.
Great.
And her and I are working together for the fourth bullet that you saw,
Okay.
which is the restoration, curating the content,
Right.
the part that is not covered by the study of 2023.
Right.
Yeah.
And what I will say to Julian's point, I agree. We have 3 national historic sites and a number of other very important historical sites in St. Andrews. And we've yet to be able to create an avenue for there to be some synergy around that. I certainly hope that, as my fellow councillor Gumashal would say, we're coming to the end of our mandate, and what we are able to do at this point is very limited. But I really hope that this will be something that we can keep on the registers as a recommendation for the new council to look at opportunities to support all of our historic sites in St. Andrews. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a good point. And part of keeping you updated is we know that you're getting into probably a reshuffle in May, so we'll have to come back anyway to that point. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Worship. Thank you, everyone. Sorry for the technical issues.
So, carrying on with the meeting, we have the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting. So, minutes of the 20, oh, we're going to give them a minute to leave? You don't want to sit for the whole meeting, so if you want to go. I don't know why you wouldn't want to say, Leslie. Yeah. It's the longest I've seen you. Thank you, good night. Thank you for coming. Brief recess.
Just another couple of minutes, Your Worship. We lost a councillor and just as a reminder, Council, too, the Heritage Standing, we had them do work on the courthouse 2 or 3 years ago. It's Dr. Tom Morrison, who's done presentations on behalf of assets of Council.
Minutes of the 26:03:02 regular council meeting of Monday, March 2nd, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. be adopted. I need a mover. Counselor Bennett, and a seconder. Counselor Heenan. Any further comments or additions, errors or omissions? All right, all those in favor of accepting those minutes, say aye. Contrary minded? Carried. And the second set is the minutes of the 26:03:09 staff-led council meeting of Monday, March the 9th, 2026. The motion is that the minutes of the 26:03:09 staff-led council meeting of Monday, March the 9th, 2026 at 6 p.m. be adopted. I need a mover. Deputy Mayor Neal, and seconder, Councillor Gomichel. Any errors or omissions or additions? If not, all those in favor to accept them, aye. Contrary minded? Carried. Any communications that we need to do? Mr. Spear?
No, Your Worship, we're good.
Okay, do you have a staff report or financial report?
No, those are at the first meeting of the month.
That's what I thought. So we are now into the introduction and consideration and passing of bylaws and motions. So Finance and Administration Committee, and that would be you, Councillor Heenan.
Thank you, Your Worship and Council. Reference FA 260336, Ad Hoc Committee for Community Assistant Grants. Staff recommends the creation of an ad hoc committee for review and recommendations of applications received for community assistance grant for funding of 2026. A copy of the policy and procedure, as well as a list of applicants, their projects, and the amounts requested are included in the council's package. Staff requests the committee prepare a recommendation for council to present it at a regular council meeting in April the 7th or the 20th of 2026. Motion that the council appoint the following individuals to an ad hoc committee for review and recommendations regarding applications to community assistance grant funding for 2026. And I'll move that after we get the rate.
Is there anyone who would like to volunteer for that? I'll let my name stand, but Councillor Harland?
Your Worship, I was on it last year. I
Yeah.
wouldn't mind doing it again.
Heenan?
I'd like to volunteer Councillor Neal.
Councillor Neal?
What did I do to you?
Yeah,
We only need three.
I think we've,
Yeah, I
yeah,
don't
would you
mind
like
doing
to?
that, too.
Okay,
No.
Councillor Neal? No, Deputy Mayor Neal.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
Anybody else? Okay, all those, so now you can say the names and we
Yes,
will add.
I will reread the motion just so it's clear.
Thank you.
That the council appoint the following individuals to an ad hoc committee for the review and recommendations regarding applications to the Community Assistance Grant Funding. Councillor Harland, Mayor Akagi, Deputy Mayor Neal, and Councillor Heenan. And I so move this.
Okay, and we need a seconder. Councillor Bennett. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of accepting these four for the, say aye.
Aye, Your Worship.
Contrary minded? Carried. All right. Next one. It's on page 29. Public Works and Public Safety Committee. Oh, sorry. Councillor Bennett. that's
Thank you, Your Worship and Council. Reference number PWPS 260320, subject bylaw 25-01-A, amendment to vehicle traffic bylaw. The background reads, CHCO-TV and the Courier have offices in the W.C. O'Neill Arena and have requested parking spaces be designated for their use with the appropriate signage installed. CHCO-TV and the Courier have several full-time staff members and frequent short-term guests. Employees also regularly load and unload technical equipment. There are two available parking spaces on the Harriet side of the building, between the front of the building and the entrance to the theater. The two parking spaces would require an amendment to Schedule J of bylaw number 25-01. Vehicle traffic bylaw amendment of the schedule only requires one reading by council. Upon review of Schedule J, staff also recommend the removal of designated parking space which were earmarked for EWC or Eastern Charlotte Waterways and their electric vehicle program, which was discontinued in 2025. And the motion before us tonight is that the council accept bylaw 25-01-alpha, a bylaw to amend bylaws 25-01, a bylaw to regulate vehicle traffic in the town of St. Andrews. And I so move.
Seconder, please. Councilor Harlan. Discussion, council? Okay, not seeing any. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Oh, Councilor Gumashell. So 1 nay. Carried, though. All right. Proposed noise bylaw, Councilor Bennett.
Thank you again, your worship and council. Reference number PWPS 26.
Sorry, Councilor. Mr. Spear. Okay. All right. Do we have to read it? No, I didn't think so. You didn't tell me. Okay, sorry, Councilor Bennett.
That's quite all right. Again, reference number PWPS 260322. Subject proposed bylaw 26-01 noise bylaw. And the background reads, bylaw 0604, a bylaw concerning the regulation of noise in the town of St. Andrews, was enacted in 2006 with minor amendments since to extend the regulations through the 2023 boundaries, which include Bayside and Shancook Council must approve the new bylaw. Since 2006, noise bylaws have evolved to include the use of decibel meters to measure sustained noise levels. The proposed bylaw 26-01 includes the application of these levels as found in other bylaws. To enforce these guidelines, the bylaw enforcement officer will require a decibel meter that can be properly calibrated. 3 quotes for the recommended hardware are attached. Section 4 through 7 are related to decibel testing and restrictions. Supporting definitions have been added, and a clear definition of residential area, which used to be only referred to in a black and white map. The remaining sections and schedules were renumbered and formatting was modified. Staff recommend council discuss the bylaw and consider granting leave of first reading. A copy of the most recent update bylaw 0604 is attached. Note, a public hearing is not required for this bylaw. If council wishes to schedule a public hearing, a minimum notice is set of a special meeting of council no later than 3 business days before the meeting date. Would you want a motion? Thank
I'm
you.
ahead of you. I want to go home.
Thank you, Your Worship. And the motion before us tonight is that the council of the town of St. Andrews give leave for first reading by title only of proposed bylaw 26-01 noise bylaw, and I so move.
Seconder, Councilor Heenan. Any further discussion, council? Okay, all those, sorry, Councilor Weir.
I'm sorry, Mark. I was just looking through here to see exemptions. If a business has a provincial noise permit, I guess it's called, then the provincial legislation would override the town legislation?
Mr. Spear?
Always, but it wouldn't hurt to refer to something like that. It's just, I know who you're talking of, and it was forgotten in the first draft, so we will double check on that for that specific.
I can get you copies of the permits if you want.
Sure. It wasn't so much the permits themselves as it was just having the wording in the bylaw to recognize that.
So do we wait on that, or do we read it tonight?
No, this is always just a draft.
Okay.
So you can feel free to bring forward.
All right. Thank you, Councilor Weir. All right, council, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Carried, so I read it by title. Bylaw number 26-01, a bylaw regarding noise and nuisance for the town of St. Andrews, be it enacted by the Council of Eastern Charlotte, wouldn't that be St. Andrews? Under the authority vested in it by the local governance. Wouldn't that be St. Andrews? We need to change that?
Maybe.
You forget where you are, man?
I wonder who did that. Yeah. I almost answered the phone that way today, too.
Under the authority vested in it by, that's because we didn't feed you today, in it by the Local Governance Act, RSNB 2017, C18, as follows. Part 1, title and
Your Worship, you can just go to the very last page. You can say, read first reading this date off.
That's nice of you, thank you. You didn't want to listen to me read all of it? Yeah, okay, so this was the first reading on the, what day is this? The 16th of March, 2026, for the first time. 2026, thank you.
Your Worship, we did miss an item
Oh dear.
on page 31.
Oh, number 2? Did I skip it?
No, it's discussion regarding the
31.
William Street parking ban, if council wanted to
Oh, right.
go into that further.
Okay, on page 31. So, currently the seasonal parking east side of the street. Oh,
You want,
that's
I can-
for,
I can read it, or?
okay,
Sure.
thank you.
So at the request of a resident, as we've mentioned before, council has been discussing an extension of the parking ban on William Street. Changes would be required to a schedule of bylaw 2501 vehicular traffic bylaw. Currently, there is a seasonal parking ban on the east side of the street from Water to Queen Street from the second weekend in May to the Monday after the third weekend in October. The request is to extend the parking ban on the east side from Queen Street to Montague Street. The resident has indicated they are comfortable with a seasonal or year-round parking ban. There's some details for council to consider if they wanted to move forward would be, does council want to extend the parking restriction on William to Montague? Would the ban remain seasonal or would it become year-round? If the ban remains seasonal, there are 3 other streets in the seasonal no parking anytime table with a ban on one side of the street from Water to Queen Street. Would council also be extending those to Montague on Elizabeth, Edward, and Princess Royal?
Okay, council, what is your views on this? Councillor Heenan?
Yes, Your Worship, in light of our presentation this evening and the diligent work that the church is doing to solve the problem, I would like to schedule this discussion at a bit of a later date just to see how they progress with their plans for making this work. I wouldn't want to cut it off at the nub just right now, because I think that you have a group of dedicated people who are working for a solution, and I think it just requires a slight amount of time to get it underway. That's just my feeling. I'm not saying we get rid of this at all. I'm just saying just
table it.
Table it for later discussion.
What about the other streets?
Well, I think it's all needs to just.
Queen Street would be
Yeah, just-
Elizabeth, Edward, and Princess Royal.
Well, I was just talking more about the church one right now, so I'm sorry.
Sounded like,
Councillor Gomichelle?
sounded like Councillor Heenan made a motion to table, and if he did, I'd second that.
Is that for all of them or just that one?
Just
Okay.
a wee bit of point of order. There's nothing really to table.
Yeah,
There's no motion or anything. We can just put it
We
to the
can just
staff
put it to the
registers.
staff.
Yeah.
That staff will bring this up later?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Is that sufficient enough, Mr. Spear? Okay, so we did that one. All right. Acceptance of the Recreation and Environmental Committee on page 53. And that is Councillor Gomichelle.
Thank you, Your Worship. Reference number RE 260211 dated March 16th, and the subject is acceptance of the Recreation Master Plan. The background reads, Council engaged the services of RC Strategies to draft a recreation master plan for the town. Megan Carey initially presented the plan to Council on January 26th, which was made available on YouTube. Council has received copies of the What We Heard and What We Learned documents. Megan appeared virtually in tonight's meeting and presented the final draft and results received from an online survey. The plan was included separately in Council's package. If there are no additional changes, staff recommends acceptance of the plan. And the motion reads that the Council for the Town of St. Andrews accept the final version of the Parks and Recreation Master Plan, naturally connected, actively engaged. And I would make that motion, Your Worship.
And seconder, Councillor Heenan. Any further discussion, Council? Councillor Weir.
Yes, I just want to comment. I guess I commented before that it sounded very generic. It reads very generic, and some of the groups that were consulted have come back with the same comment. I read at least one or two letters where people that were part of the consultation process were a bit disappointed in it. But by the same token, we gave them a mandate. I assume we've already paid them. And so I guess we've got it. Whether we follow it or not is another matter.
It sounds like they're going to follow it up. Yes, Mr. Spear.
Not that this will make council feel a whole lot better, but I will recognize that the Regional Development Corporation actually is funding 40% of this now. We hadn't budgeted that originally, but they came on board later in the year last year to help fund this. So, you know, it was
excellent.
Unknown budgeting.
That's very good news.
Okay, so.
That's 40% of 60,000?
Ready for the question, Council? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Carried. All right, and Planning and Community Development Committee, Councillor Harland.
Thank you. This is reference number PCD 260314, and the subject is MP 20-02-03 Secondary Municipal Plan Amendment. The background is as follows. Planners have presented an application to construct a two-story, 816 square foot addition to the rear of 246 Water Street. The proposed addition would not impact the Water Street streetscape, as it's an extension of the rear of the building. This addition requires an amendment to the Secondary Municipal Plan, MP 20-02, to allow the extension on the largest building on the block. Staff recommends the following next steps for the proposed amendment: to schedule a public hearing of objections and to request the views of the Planning Advisory Committee. The action is two motions. The first being that the council schedule a public hearing of objections for proposed bylaw MP 20-02-03, a bylaw to amend bylaw number MP 20-02 to be held on Tuesday, April the 7th, 2026 at 6 p.m. in the W.C. O'Neill Arena Council Chambers, and I so move.
Okay, I need a seconder. We need a seconder. Councillor Weir. Let's take him. All right, is there any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor for this? Aye. Contrary minded? Carried. Motion 2.
Thank you. And the second motion is that the Council of the Town of St. Andrews request the views of the Planning Advisory Committee regarding proposed bylaw MP 20-02-03, a bylaw to amend bylaw number MP 20-02 as per section 1110 of the Community Planning Act, and I so move.
That's Councillor Harlan, seconder. Councillor Weir again. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Carried. Okay. It's done. Oops, sorry. Okay, so, new business? Nothing? Question period? Are there any online? No? Mac?
None online or by email.
Okay. Mr. Spear?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify something I said to Councillor Weir earlier about the noise bylaw.
Yes?
I said that those permits always are over and above any municipal bylaws. That really isn't the case. If it's legislative stuff, it always is, but we'll have to take that into consideration for sure. So if it was a new permit, then the provincial and federal agencies would work to cooperate with us to make it fit. But where this is something that, using the famous word grandfathered in from before local government's reform, we'll respect that and work it into the new bylaw as needed.
Thank you, Mr. Spear. Okay, Mr. Councilor Weir? All right. Excuse me, Councilor and Deputy Mayor's comments? Any comments? None?
Councilor Weir.
Councilor Weir, sorry.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to make a comment on the amendment to the secondary municipal plan. It's readily obvious now that we have a building on every block that cannot have a piece put on it without going to council and amending the secondary municipal plan. So just something maybe we should consider whether we can make it simple or just leave it that way.
Well, I've got bad news for you. The new zoning bylaw, at council's wishes,
Yes.
has a new OHB zone that council has to make decisions in every exterior renovation. Currently, it hasn't been passed, but it just so you're aware that everything that happens down in the business district is going to have to come before council. That's very minor.
Yes, that was brought forward.
Thank you, Mr. Spear.
We pushed for that, yes.
Yeah, we did. Okay. Any other comments? The only thing I'll say is keep bringing those bags in for the food bank. Thank you. They asked me today, and I was over, and I said, no, I don't have any today. But, and that's it. Oh, happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. A little early, but tomorrow. So, green is keen. Green is keen, yes. So thank you very much, and hope you have a good, happy St. Patrick's Day tomorrow. Do we have a closed session to go to? No, because we did it earlier, so no closed session. Then we have an adjournment. Councillor Heenan. Councillor Harland. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Carried. And so at 8 o'clock, we're done.